It almost seems like there is a dark cloud over this season. Welcome back to a new Hints and Theories video, this time to episode number 6. And yeah, it somehow is a bittersweet video, I would say. Of course, we had some nice games again, some really nice scenes about how the group works together, about how close they became. I loved that tattoo scene we got to see, and simply to know that they now all have like the same memory of their adventure. But then again, of course, the bitter part in this video here is that we have to talk about Anka's accident. And let's start with that. First of all, I wish Anka all the best. I hope that she is already recovered, that she does not have any longer problems with her arm. I mean, the accident is now about a half year ago, so I really hope that everything functions as it did before the accident. But still, this is of course something really heavy, especially because she is already the third person who had to leave this season because of a health issue. So no matter if it is a physical or a mental health issue, this is definitely not the way you want to leave this game, and this is also definitely not the way we as the viewers want to see the people leave the show. And from what Anka told us in the episode, it also sounded that it was really not an easy, simple break, and if you've ever broken something, or in general, I think you know that if you break something, then this is not, over within a few days, but it usually lasts weeks up to months till everything is recovered. And on the official Go Play website, where you can also watch the Dutch version of the show, they upload some short videos with some extra information, and there's one short video in which Anka talks a bit about it. Unfortunately, I can't watch it because I'm not in Belgium. So if any one of you here is in Belgium and can watch that, then please share the information with us in the comments. Please tell us what she is talking about in that video. The only information that I can give you is that I read the video description, and there it says that it was a difficult operation, and that of course makes the whole thing even worse, I would say. There are two more things that I want to say about that. The first thing is that the accident reminded me a lot of the accident that happened in the DeMol season 2013. So they were in South Africa back then, and they also had a cliff jumping task, and one woman got injured, even worse than Anke did now. But yeah, again, something happened with the cliff jumping task. And personally, I think they should really think about not doing such things anymore. Of course, we all want to see some action and some tasks in which the candidates have to be brave. And of course, it is also nice to see how they are proud of themselves if they were afraid before. So for example, Sven, who really had a brave moment and then was, I think, happy that he did it. That is of course something that is really nice to see. And yeah, it can happen in every task that someone gets hurt, just as Neil did. But still, it's the second time with a cliff jumping task, and in the end it's a show, and yeah, we don't want anybody to get injured badly. Also, I think the production teams are so creative and they can come up with really cool tasks. So also with kind of psychological games like this was supposed to be. So I really think they can come up with cool games that are not as dangerous as this. And we also have to keep in mind that of course it's sad for the person who has to leave and who is injured, but that also always has an effect on the group. And now it's even worse because it's the third person who had to leave due to health reasons, and then of course it always changes the dynamic in the group and the feeling. Also, the second thing that I still wanted to mention is, just imagine Anka would have been the mole. I mean, this would have like been the worst thing that could have happened to the whole production team, especially now that we already have a second mole. So this is like the worst they could have imagined, and if she had been it, then I'm sure they would have to stop like the season or so, because choosing a third mole for the last 2 to 3 episodes does not really, well, make sense to me. And now, before we get to the sweeter part of the video, so the hints and theories, I want to say that while watching the episode I already wrote down that I think Anka did not look as suspicious in this episode as she did last week, and I think that this is of course due to the reason that the producers knew what would happen at the end, so they edited it like that, and I think last week they really tried to make everyone look a bit suspicious. Because yeah, it was the first episode of the new mole. Now to the hints and theories, and let's start with task number 1. And since there are only 4 people left, I think we can have a quick look at all of them. So let's start with the group in the village, and the 2 leftover people of that group are our 2 boys. Let's start with Sven. I think he had a little down that day, so he did not seem very enthusiastic, not very motivated. But also, if we have a look at all the scenes that happened in the car and we saw them sleeping a lot, then I think they are all in general a bit, well, exhausted now after 2 weeks of this adventure. And yeah, I think he was just not very motivated, but of course that also would have given him a nice excuse to not really, well, participating and, well, helping finding a solution that much. About Jens, I think he does look a bit more suspicious in this task than Sven did. First of all, he also was on the phone with the 2 girls, and at least one time it looked like he talked a lot so that Uma barely could say anything. That of course could also be a bit of a false impression due to editing, but at least it seemed like he was very, well, eager to talk a lot and didn't really get any information back, and then in the end said, oh, they don't want to participate in solving the riddle. And also, if I remember it correctly, he was the one to say that Ronaldo only scored once, which of course was a wrong number, since they wanted to know that he had 5 goals more than the other person. Off to the girls. Again, I think Emmanuel did not look suspicious in the task. At least I don't know how she would have molded there. But Uma was a bit more suspicious, I think, since she took charge of talking to the other group. So she was like the one who was giving through all the information. And in general, I would say both groups had more potential, but the girls were in, let's say, a more crucial position, because the other group could not solve the riddle without their information. So if one of the girls is DeMol, then of course this would have been a nice position to, well, lose more time by not finding the information, by only, well, cleaning those figures a little bit and not so much that you could read what was written on there. And also, by separating the groups as they did, they separated the 2 people who speak Spanish from the others who don't, and that of course made that whole how many scored Ronaldo thing a little bit more complicated. So actually, for the groups part, I guess it would have been a nicer thing to have one person who speaks Spanish in the village group. Now off to task number 2, the banana task. And again, I think Uma is the most suspicious one here. Mostly because she chose to go to the question with the highest amount of money. Of course, she was accompanied by Anka, but still she took charge again. So it was her to decide in the end which answer they would take, and of course it was the wrong one. And yes, she didn't make it back in time, so there was no money earned and also no money lost. But if she would have been there in time, then it would have meant minus money, and yeah, that of course simply appeared most suspicious. Also, I think in this task Sven, well, made a bit of a nicer candidate appearance again, so he earned money twice, and if he is DeMol, I'm not sure if he would really do it twice. So I think like earning 300 euro for one task to appear more like a candidate is absolutely okay for a mole, but to be honest, earning money twice, especially since he was the one who almost like came up with the solution on its own. So yeah, really gives me more of a candidate vibe in this task. And also Emmanuel and Jens both did not look very suspicious in the task to me. If you've spotted anything about them or about Uma and Sven, then don't hesitate to leave that in the comments down there. But I would say that Uma definitely was the most suspicious one in that task. And last but not least, let's also talk a bit about that cliff jumping task. And again, I have to say that Uma looks the most suspicious to me here, simply because I did not have the feeling that her reactions were natural. So when she stood there and had that 2 minutes to decide whether to jump or not, she acted a bit nervous, but I really had the feeling that it was acted. So if I compare her reactions to Emmanuel's reactions, for example, then I really have the feeling that Emmanuel's panic was real. And yeah, Uma's reaction did just not fit, I think, somehow. Also, I think Jens was absolutely eager to do the jump, so I think he would have jumped no matter what that have meant as consequence. He just really wanted to do that, and yeah, Sven seemed so proud of himself that he did it in the end, that I also think his reactions were natural, which just leads me to the conclusion that Uma definitely is the most suspicious one of this episode. But I'm really interested in who you think is the most suspicious person. Please share that with me in the comments. And yeah, that were already all hints and theories to episode number 6. Let me know what you think about them, and also if I have forgotten to mention anything crucial. So I'm really always happy to read your hints, theories and your ideas. So please leave a comment, and if you want to make sure that you don't miss any further hints and theories videos, then this is now the moment to subscribe. You can also still follow me on Instagram. I will keep uploading the changing figure there as well, so if you're interested in that, check out my Instagram channel. And if you want to, you can of course still join our International Facebook group as well. As always, until the next Hints and Theories video, I wish you so much fun figuring out who DeMol is, and I really hope that the next Hints and Theories video is not bittersweet, but only sweet again. Until then, bye!